If you bought a new outboard in the last 5 years, there is a very good chance you cannot diagnose a check engine light on your own motor. And not because you lack the skills or the tools, because the manufacturer literally decided you don't get to. Yamaha's diagnostic system costs over $1,000 and is officially restricted to authorized dealers only. Mercury's CDS G3 software requires an active dealer ID that gets revalidated every 45 days. You need corporate permission on a recurring basis just to read your own engine's fault codes. And Honda's proprietary diagnostic platform, which they charmingly named Dr. H, requires a dealer account to even register for access. I spent way too many hours buried in the Hull truth forums researching this, and the pattern is identical to what John Deere pulled on tractor owners and what Apple did to independent phone repair shops. Somewhere along the way, these companies figured out that locking you out of your own equipment is a business model, and it is working beautifully. For them. So how did we go from outboard motors you could rebuild on sawhorses in your driveway to engines that won't even tell you what's wrong without a dealer laptop? And more importantly, which engines still let you be your own mechanic? That's this video. 5 outboards, ranked by how long I think their parts supply will hold, and every single one of them answers to a wrench instead of a subscription. Number 5. The Yamaha 115 and 130 V4 two-stroke. Built from roughly 1984 to 2010. I genuinely believe this might be the most important outboard engine in the history of recreational boating, and I will die on that hill. This engine uses conventional CDI ignition and a mechanical carburetor. That's the whole electronics package. No ECU, no oxygen sensor, no data port. You diagnose it with a spark tester and a compression gauge, the same way people have been diagnosing small engines since your grandfather was alive. The durability stories on the Hull Truth read like someone made them up. One owner clipped the rev limiter wire on a 1994 model and ran it past 6,500 RPM for 2 straight years. Didn't kill it. Another guy logged 2,500 hours on a 1999 with nothing but thermostats and a water pump impeller. At 370 pounds, the power to weight embarrasses brand new 4-strokes costing 5 times as much. The one weakness worth knowing about is corrosion, cracking near the prop shaft on the lower unit housing. Preventable with annual carrier nut maintenance and a tube of thread sealant that costs about $8 at West Marine. That's it. That is the entire known vulnerability of this engine. Parts availability is still wide open. Sierra Marine makes water pump kits and fuel system components. Set. CDI Electronics manufactures every ignition module in the lineup. And Wiseco, a company that's been making marine pistons since 1941, produces forged piston kits for full powerhead rebuilds. Guys are selling these engines for $2,000 at boat ramps because they're old 2-strokes, and the people buying them are getting the last truly independent outboard motors ever made. I personally think that's the best deal in boating right now, and nobody's talking about it. Pay attention to this next one, because it's the only engine on this list you can still walk into a dealership and buy brand new, with carburetors with no computer, today in 2026. Number 4. The Honda BF25 and BF30. Honda still manufactures these with carburetors right now. Every Honda outboard under 40 horsepower uses a conventional fuel system. 3 individual carbs, 1 per cylinder, automatic choke. 0 diagnostic equipment required. 0. I'll be honest about the downside. Honda's dealer network is thinner than Yamaha's or Mercury's, and Honda Corporate has a reputation for slow-walking warranty claims that would make an insurance company blush. If you need warranty work, prepare to be patient. The upside is that Honda confirmed directly to forum users that performing your own maintenance does not void the warranty as long as you keep your receipts. A complete 100-hour service on a BF150 costs about $175 in parts. On the BF25 or 30, you're looking at maybe $60 in a Saturday afternoon. Here's the detail I find genuinely clever about Honda's larger lineup. Everything above 40 horsepower runs electronic fuel injection, yes. You'd think that puts them in the same dealer lock category as everyone else. Except Honda built these engines on their automotive platforms. The BF90 shares its guts with the Honda Fit's 1.5-liter engine. The BF150 is basically an Accord 2.4-liter. K24 with a propeller bolted to it. One guy on the Hull Truth pointed out that you could walk into a junkyard, find an old Accord, and 90% of the parts would cross-reference. That automotive DNA is a backdoor that Yamaha and Mercury don't give you. And that brings us to the big block question. What if you need 200 horsepower and you still refuse to hand your engine over to a dealership? Number 3. The Mercury 2.5-liter V6 carbureted two-stroke. 150, 175, and 200 horsepower. Built through approximately 2005. And the aftermarket parts ecosystem on these motors is honestly kind of absurd. Mercury Marine still stocks OEM replacement. Parts for outboards built in the 1970s. 50-year-old engines with factory gaskets still sitting on warehouse shelves. Try getting that from your car manufacturer. Oldmercs.com is an entire business built around supplying obsolete Mercury components. Sierra Marine produces water pump kits, fuel pumps, and carburetor gasket sets going back to 1984. CDI Electronics makes switch boxes, stators, and trigger assemblies for the full V6 ignition range. Forum veterans on the Hull Truth describe the 2.5-liter Mercury as their favorite outboard motor of all time. Thirsty on fuel? Absolutely. You will burn more gas than a modern four-stroke by a meaningful margin. But the trade-off is a motor that is nearly impossible to kill and can be serviced by anyone with a socket set and a Sunday afternoon. One critical thing you need to know. The oil injection system on these engines uses a nylon worm gear that has been a known failure point since 1984. I want you to hear that year again. 1984. Mercury has known about this for over 40 years. The fix is elegant in its simplicity. A lot of experienced owners just delete the oil injection system entirely and premix their fuel at the dock. Problem permanently solved for $0. The other skill that separates Mercury DIY owners from frustrated Mercury owners is the link and sync carburetor adjustment procedure. Not complicated, but if you skip it, your engine will idle like garbage and you'll convince yourself something is broken when it's just out of tune. Your factory service manual walks you through it in about an hour. I'll come back to why that specific manual matters at the end. What comes next is the part that still surprises people, because I'm about to recommend a Yamaha engine for the second time. I don't care about looking brand loyal. When an engine is this good, loyalty isn't the point. Number 2, the Yamaha 85A and 90 horsepower 3-cylinder two-stroke. Forum users on the Hull Truth call this probably the most reliable, best power-to-weight engine Yamaha has ever made. And Yamaha has made a lot of engines. One owner ran an early 1986 model for 1,800 hours across 9 years on the original internal components. Not reduced issues, not minor issues. 0 mechanical failures over 1,800 hours. These 3-cylinder blocks power Boston whalers, flat skiffs, and commercial fishing pangas across the entire Caribbean and Central American coastline. Entire fishing economies wake up every morning trusting this engine to start. If you're running a bay boat or a flat skiff and you want to fish for the next 15 years without thinking about your outboard motor, this is the one I'd bolt on. The parts catalog overlaps heavily with the larger V4, so CDI Electronics and Sierra Marine cover the full ignition and water pump range, and a 3-cylinder carbureted powerhead just has fewer components that can fail. Less stuff, less problems. That's not marketing, that's physics. Everything I just broke down on these outboard engines, that's the surface. I put together 6 guides called the Bilge Files. The outboard blacklist and buy list with the specific engines mechanics actually spend their own money on. A 47-point pre-purchase inspection checklist. A DIY fix Bible that saves you thousands in shop bills. $19.99 for the whole vault. Links in the description, and subscribe if you haven't. Alright, so here's where things get complicated. Those first 4 engines are safe bets. Proven platforms, strong parts pipelines, decades of field data. This last one is different. This is a calculated gamble, and I want to be completely upfront about why it's on this list and why it almost wasn't. Number 1, the Evinrude E-TEC. Before you close the video, hear me out. BRP killed the Evinrude brand in May of 2020, citing the pandemic, though the division had been struggling for years. That decision stranded hundreds of thousands of ETEC owners overnight, wondering whether their motor just became the marine equivalent of a Betamax player. 6 years later, the reality is better than the panic suggested. Routine wear parts like water pump impellers, zinc anodes, spark plugs, and thermostat gaskets are widely stocked by Sierra Marine, Napa Auto Parts, and specialist shops like Barnacle Bill's Marine Supply that sell prepackaged ETEC service kits ready to ship. BRP's parts division still pulls in over $100 million annually, which means they have every financial reason to keep the supply chain running. The diagnostic access problem, which everyone assumed would be the death blow, has been largely cracked open. Third-party suppliers, especially a company called Powersports Diag out of Austria, now sell complete ETEC diagnostic kits for $130 to $400. These cover every ETEC model from 1999 through 2020 and handle fault code reading, sensor monitoring, and even injector coefficient programming. One customer review that stuck with me said they were skeptical the kit could handle the coefficient work, but it ran flawlessly. You can also grab a generic USB diagnostic cable on Amazon for under $100. So where's the gamble? 2 components: the EMM, which is the engine management module, and the fuel injectors. The EMM controls everything on an ETEC, and no aftermarket company can manufacture them. If yours fails from overheating or corrosion, you need a used replacement that has to be reprogrammed with dealer software. Supply is tightening and eBay prices are climbing. The injectors are compensated, meaning each one carries a unique QR code and software coefficient that has to be matched to the EMM. Without both the software tools and a supply of new injectors, a failure gets expensive in a hurry. The Hull Truth's unwritten rule for pricing an ETEC boat is brutal and accurate. Offer what you think the hull is worth without the engine on the transom. If the deal still makes sense at that price, you've got yourself a genuinely excellent motor with a ticking clock on 2 specific parts. I'd take that bet on a great deal. I would not take it at full retail. Before I go, one thing that applies no matter which engine you buy or own: go spend $15 on a factory service manual for your exact model and year. Not Climber, not Salak. The actual factory manual, which is all over eBay. It gives you the real torque specs, the real wiring diagrams, and the troubleshooting flowcharts that dealership mechanics use. $15 and a weekend of reading will save you more than any diagnostic computer ever built. Remember that dealer diagnostic system I mentioned at the start? The one that costs $1,000 and requires corporate permission to access? Your factory service manual does about 80% of what that system does, for $15, on an engine built before they decided to lock you out. YouTube thinks you'll like this video, so click it. And if you made it to the end, subscribe.